What is up, everybody? I'm No Lux Given, and today we're playing Goldilocks. And in case you've somehow missed it, I'm currently undefeated on this hero. I've played 12 games, and I've gotten first place every single time, which is awesome. But that also makes this game number 13 a little bit spooky, a little bit unlucky. We'll see what happens. I'm going to try to be as strong as possible, keep the streak going, start streaking in this game as well. And that's why I pick up a Humpty Dumpty to kick things off, and then I'll pick up a Cindy here on turn 2. There is some debate about whether or not I'd like to lock for a roll the die, which will at least tick Cindy down a little bit, but I'm not super impressed with this shop. It would be kind of nice to have it land on Kitty Cup Purse or even potentially the Crafty, but I think we can do a little bit better, and I think that we will be able to do so. We find a Forbidden Fruit, so there is still a castable spell here, and then I'm also going to pick up Baby Root. I think that that's pretty nice, and I could just pick up another Sherwood Shore shop, but I decide to roll, see if we can find potentially like some more Humpty Dumpties or something like that, and instead I find a pair of Baby Roots, but I'm not going to pick those up. I think that it's just better to try to play the best board for the current turn, and that's going to involve just supporting a Tiny with Baby Root, and then I'll backline Cindy in case my opponent has a Baby Dragon, which this Zippy the Zombie indeed does. So we get to play nice into that, and we survive onto 3.0 with 38 health and our Humpty Dumpty still intact. So doing pretty well, I have to say. And now we've got 7 gold, which is enough to pick up this spell plus 2 of the characters from the shop. Now, this shop isn't super impressive because I mean, Princess Peep, not super exciting. The Darkwood Creeper, also not super exciting. So I'm just going to wind up picking up the Sleeping Princess, which I think is a good card, though it is going to make us a little bit weaker potentially for this turn. Now, I am powering up both of my 0 attack characters with the Stag, so as long as we get that first attack or the Stag survives my opponent's first attack, we're going to have a 3-11 and a 3-6 in the back line. And we are going to wind up losing our Humpty Dumpty, but we will still have enough stats to win the combat. So that's pretty nice for us. The Humpty Dumpty, basically, I just look at it as like a health potion sometimes, and, you know, it got us to this point at 39 health, so that is still pretty great. I'm going to pick up a Lucky on this turn, and then I guess we're all done. Not going to worry about those Queen of Hearts, but I am kind of interested in a Turkish Delight, picking up some XP. Next turn we'll have 7 gold, and that's enough to pick up either the Mummy or the Vampire, plus this dessert treat for some bonus XP to help us stay strong for the rest of the game. Though I guess one other thing that we could potentially do is pick up the Turkish Delight. That will make us level 4, at which point we'll get 2 additional gold from Goldilocks, and then we can roll and still pick up a level 4 character next turn. So that's definitely an option, and honestly probably what I'm going to wind up going for. Now, we will lose our streak here. This Merlin ends our streak. Unfortunate, we're going to throw them the angry Gwen emote there, and then we're going to level up and picking up a Dragon's Nest going into 4.0 as Goldilocks has actually only ever worked out once for me, and it's not going to work out here, but I still think it's a really good strategy. Just unfortunately, we're going to get a little bit unlucky and not find any dragons, but we do find some other good cards. We've got Greedy, which I think is the pickup right now. I want to pick up Greedy earlier, so that way I can get that Econ potentially this turn, a 12 health Greedy with the Baby Root support. But I also like the Friendly Spirit. That's also just a really good card that I'll definitely want to add to this board as well. Despite not having any dragons, I am going to go ahead and lock this shop, and then maybe we can find some dragons down the line or something. But our game here against Phoenix Angel is also not going to go super hot. They've got 2 really large characters already with their Sleeping Princess and their Wizard's Familiar, but we do get to pick up a nice little power spike for ourselves this board, this turn, and we're playing up against King Midas, who is certainly not as strong as some of these other heroes, so we'll have a little bit of a break here, trying to decide if I want to sugar and spice either the court wizard or the friendly spirit, but ultimately I decide that I could still roll and sell 3 things and still add a dragon to this board. So that's what I decide to do, and it works out pretty well for us as we get to add a lightning dragon to the team now, and that's a pretty big power spike as well. So pretty excited about that pickup, but there are still some other things going on this shop, and I don't actually lock this shop, but I think that I should have in hindsight. Another friendly spirit is really good. It's good with greedy, it's good with court wizard, and it's just good when you have multiple friendly spirits. Then there's also a burning palm, which I could put on friendly spirit, or I could also put that on court wizard. Double that character's attack is also a lot of power. Now, I don't wind up locking. I think it's just so that way I can try to find some more dragons while I'm still level 4. I've had some really good success with dragons on Goldilocks in the past, and potentially trying to replicate that a little bit. We have a really close fight, actually, against King Midas. 55% to win, but it looked really close. And Baby Dragon, not exactly the dragon that I'm looking for, though I am going to pick up this friendly spirit, rectify that mistake a little bit. I will Forbidden Fruit, which puts me down to 20, so that's kind of interesting, and then also gives me the gold to potentially purchase one more thing in this shop. Now, I'm going to cycle the golden chicken because we're locking this shop, and I do have to figure out what I'm purchasing here, and ultimately I decide to buy the friendly spirit. And we get to pick up Coin of Sharon from that. Gloves of Thieving and Sky Castle, also interesting, especially with some of the characters that we already have. Though I think that Coin of Sharon is also pretty strong here and going to add a considerable amount of stats to our board. Coin of Sharon always a little bit awkward with Lightning Dragon, though eventually Lightning Dragon will scale out of that, and we're going to pick up the River Wish Mermaid next turn. But this turn, we actually get lucky enough that the coin does go onto my friendly spirit, which is enough to allow me to win this fight through my opponent's soul tax. So pretty sweet stuff there. And then this is our 5.0 turn, but we locked on because there was a River Wish Mermaid and a Gingerbread Knight as a 14/14 here. And it's probably bigger than any of the stuff we'd be able to pick up on level 5. So I'm going to finish this turn off by casting Merlin's Test and throwing Greedy back in replace of the Cindy, and then we'll have a roll, and we're basically just going to have enough gold to lock here. We just have to figure out if this shop is good enough that it's worth locking onto, and I think that it is. Nyan Sea Terror is always good, but especially good when you're trying to make some sleigh comps work with Princess, or River Wish Mermaid rather, and Baba Yaga, so I'm definitely going to want the Nyan Sea Terror, and then Wombats in Disguise, also not too bad with the Friendly Spirit. So I think I'll be looking to pick up all 3 of those characters. Though, I guess we won't have the gold to do it all in one turn since we won't have the 2 bonus gold from Goldilocks on the level up. So that part is a little bit awkward. We're going to see that Friendly Spirit roll onto Greedy, so potentially an opportunity for a bunch of bonus cash here. Not quite going to be enough to allow us to afford everything in the shop, though actually it will be, because we can just sell 3 things, and then we can pick up Nyan Sea Terror as well. So I think we're going to sell off the Cindy, the Court Wizard, and the Sleeping Princess. We sell off that whole Royals package, and that allows me to pick up Nyan Sea Terror. Still hanging on to Greedy. Not sure if that's right. Maybe it's a little greedy, you know, but we'll hold on to that and toss the Court Wizard here. And then I am going to wind up moving around this board a little bit. Let me actually rewind and try to make it as likely as possible that Friendly Spirit is what winds up getting the Coin of Sharon bonus. And it's also nice because I kind of want the Baba Yaga on the Friendly Spirit, giving that some more stats, though I want to double support the Lightning Dragon to give that double slays. And this works out nicely. It puts my ranged character first, though unfortunately my opponent attacks into my Lightning Dragon there. And also, unfortunately, my Lightning Dragon doesn't attack into my opponent's Great Pumpkin. My opponent has a Great Pumpkin on 5.0. They really did some work with that Masquerade Ball there, and we're going to take some damage. We're down to 7, 93% chance to lose that one, plus this Merlin is still at like almost full health, so this is a really strong lobby. And I'm not sure if this lightning dragon is going to be able to carry us through it. At 7 health, we are really close to dying, unfortunately, and that would be terrible. So let's see if we can turn some things around. I'm just going to wind up basically rolling down this turn. I can't even really play the shoulder fairies here because I'd have to cut like the gingerbread knight, and at that point it's a smaller shoulder fairy. So yeah, just really awkward all around. And ultimately, just going to wind up fully rolling down. I pick up a golden chicken, which I then sell off to cast a toil in trouble, maybe grab a little bit more stats because we're only at 7 health. And all I want to do is survive until that 6.0 turn, hit that power spike, and potentially turn some things around. But Beauty has a good boy already, and is 2 XP up on the lobby. So yeah, there's some really powerful opponents in this lobby, unfortunately. Now, Lightning Dragon is indeed going to be enough to carry us, and we actually get this lay with Ogre Princess too, off the Wombats in Disguise, so we'll have a little bit of additional econ, and this is kind of a weird shop. And after thinking about it a little bit, we don't really, I think, have the strength to go for the Empress P. I think we just have to pick up the evil characters here, and that's going to involve selling off 4 characters from our hand. So it's probably just going to be these 4 that we're currently hanging on to, though I think I will hang on to the Nyan Sea Terror still. But the idea is the trees are going to be synergistic with each other, and then also will spawn some units that could potentially scam my opponent off the Great Pumpkin. So this is what we're working with. I'm going to move some things around, try to potentially put the Coin of Sharon buff on some trees. And then I lock onto the Pigomorph. This game's almost over. We're already in the top 5 of this lobby, so maybe we'll need to scam some people. And speaking of scam, my opponent also has a Great Pumpkin, and they lightning bolt our Great Pumpkin. Now, I think they were already looking pretty strong beyond that. Our Friendly Spirit doesn't land on Baba Yaga, and that's it. That's going to be enough to take us out. That's the end of the Goldilocks streak after 12 undefeated games. This Merlin, I did kind of foreshadow at the beginning of the video where I teased it a little bit. This Merlin ends our streak, but we're not quite done with this video. We're going to take a look at every single Goldilocks game that I've played. Specifically, we're going to look at every shop on those level up turns and see how all those turned out for us and just relive the journey. I thought this was a nice way to recap a really fun experience here. A 12-0 run, probably not going to happen to me ever again. I obviously got extremely lucky, though Goldilocks is an extremely powerful hero, and this was the first game that I played on Goldilocks, my day 1 game, and I was comparing it to Snow Angel and Apocalypse. I thought this was a really cool thumbnail as well, or a really hot thumbnail, depending on which way you look at it, but I definitely think that this hero is a really nice blend of both Snow Angel and Apocalypse, though I will say I didn't quite put it all together on day 1. I really like Snow Angel, and I really like Apocalypse, and now I think that Goldilocks is, well, I think it's the best hero in the game. I went 12-0 on it, though on day 1 I did think that maybe Goldilocks was a little bit worse than either of these heroes, but now I realize that Goldilocks is so much more powerful with the sum of its parts, and definitely the strongest hero in the game for my money. So let's take a look at what happened in this game on 3.0. We've got the opportunity to, for glory, and pick up a prized pig and a donkey or a spellweaver. Probably going to go with the donkey and the prized pig for the most chances of winning on this turn. By the way, most of these games were on the old client, so that might look a little bit jarring now, but yeah, it's kind of funny. Everybody, I think, is mostly more used to the newer client now that it's been out for a little bit. But for glory, pretty strong start. That said, we actually do take a bunch of damage. We go down to 23, but we pick up a Skip's Puzzle Rune, which is pretty nice, and we're not quite at the place where we can pick up the gingerbread knight, though we're very close with a forbidden fruit in the shop this turn as well. And you can see we did pick up the prized pig and the donkey there. And there's some other nice stuff in the shop as well. We've got the Lady of the Lake, which we can use to support the frog prince and the stag. So overall, pretty nice. And then already, my first game with Goldilocks, we start doing some pretty crazy things. We get to pick up some, well, okay, this was a little bit weird how this turn worked out, because we leveled up with the Skip's Puzzle Rune into 5.0 on my very first game. We got a taste of exactly how that works, but we get to pick up a Nyan Sea Terror here right away, which is awesome. There's also 2 Rotten Applewoods if we want to try to make a pair out of those. And there's also a Lancelot, which we do try to make a treasure out of, though not quite just yet. First, we're going to use the Nyan Sea Terrors and pick up Horn of Olympus. And then this 6.0 turn right here goes absolutely crazy. Way too hard. We get to pick up Green Knight and Good Boy, which activates the Lancelot, and then it also activates the Hercules for us, I think in one turn. Just a really, really fantastic 6.0 here. We have to sell off 3 things to be able to pick up Good Boy, Hercules, and Green Knight, but that's totally okay, and that's what we do, and wind up winning that game. I mean, we win all these games. But yeah, we win that game pretty easy from there with a 2 XP lead on the rest of the lobby. You can also see that on our 6.0, half of the lobby is dead or almost dead, and we're also going to have 2 treasures right off the bat. So we're able to translate this into a pretty easy win. This was my second game with the hero, and in this game, I realized that Goldilocks is just a better Apocalypse. If I hadn't realized it already, this game definitely made me realize it. And you can see a little preview on the thumbnail of what my level 6 shop is going to be. It's just a board. It's just a comp by itself. It's 2 support characters for Empress P, a Good Boy, and a Hercules. Just an insane 6.0 shop. And then you also get additional Apocalypse triggers on 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0. So just some crazy stuff on this game. Really, really powerful. I imagine we probably pick up a Brave Princess here and maybe the Shadow Assassin. I'm not really sure on all of the different moves in all of these games, but looks like that is what we went for. This turn we get to pick up a Nutcracker, and oh, you know what? Yes. This is the one where I also go a little bit silly with treasures. I've got some notes down here as well. But Brave Princess is going to wind up giving us treasure map. Then we get the treasure from Nutcracker. That gives us a tier 6 treasure, which is Pandora's Box. And the Pandora's Box even gets to go a little bit crazy. That gives me Magic Sword plus 100, which activates off Hercules. Maybe I'm going a little bit too quickly here. Yeah, we find some Dwarves. There's Aeon. Those are going to set up some things that we see in future Goldilocks videos. Some ideas in my head, but Pandora's Box gives us Magic Sword plus 100, which from Lancelot gives us Hand of Midas. And now we can pick up an upgraded Good Boy with a Magic Sword plus 100 right on that 6.0 turn. Absolutely insane. If you saw the thumbnail and said, oh, there's 5 characters in the shop that you can purchase and they're a comp, that's going to be pretty crazy, you didn't know the half of it, because we were also going to pick up an upgraded Good Boy and immediately activate that Hercules as well, because it's going to get plus 200 attack from the upgraded Good Boy. So just absolutely insane stuff, and continuing to be a super powerful hero. And this is only game 2. Still have 10 more games to cover, so I'm going to try to get through them a little bit faster here, I think. This game number 3, was Holy Grail, and we can see exactly how that happened. 3.0, we get to pick up a pair of Shadow Assassins by the looks of it, just kind of eyeballing these things. And I guess 4.0, we get to pick up a pair of Chupacabras. And I think I mentioned in this video that I don't often get to play with Chupacabra, so it's kind of fun that we were able to do so. I grab a Crystal Ball off the Queen of Hearts, thinking that maybe on 5.0 we can find an Aeon. Now, unfortunately, we don't find that Aeon. We do find the Baba Yagas, and we also find some Tweedles, and We also have Horn to make our spells a little bit cheaper, the Moonsong Horn. And we find an ancient sarcophagus as well, and some XP. We've got a lot of stuff going on in this game, and it even gets a little bit crazier. I mean, you saw the thumbnail already. It is a Holy Grail game. Our 6.0 shop, that gives us a Hercules, and I believe, you know what, I actually don't remember how we grab the treasure from the, oh, it must just be a Pandora's box off of Hercules. Maybe it's a treasure map from the Shadow Assassins plus the Hercules activation or the Baba Yaga triple. But either way, we wind up getting a Holy Grail and then we Grail Ball, which is always a lot of fun. And during the Grail Ball, that's when we pick up that Aeon. Yeah, just a great excuse to try that out. And that was a really fun one as well. On this one, we tried Dwarves. We've got the Angries and we've got the, oops, let me go back. Sorry about that. We've got the Angries and the Tweedles in the shops on 5.0 turns when you're Goldilocks, which is a really nice power spike. We don't really get any Dwarves here, but I wind up slaying with a Polywoggle, and that turns into a Fanny. And then we've got a Helm, which we can use to support a Doubly. So a 1030 is a pretty considerable amount of stats on 4.0. And then we also get to do our Goldilocks things. Unfortunately, 4.0 does not bring us any Dwarves, but 5.0 brings us a pair of Angries. So that's pretty strong. We can throw those Angries potentially in front of the Fanny or the Doubly, or like move the Doubly out of there, or we can just play all of them. I wind up moving some things around in some weird ways in this one. And then actually, you know what we can do right on this turn is we can pick up the Lancelot and Merlin's Test It or Wizard's Test It and put that in the Helm slot, and then that is up to 26. So we get a free tier 5 treasure from that as well. And I believe it's not that tier 5 treasure, but one of the tier 5 treasures that we grab is Hand of Midas. And yeah, I think the Lancelot gives us the Horn, and then we wind up tripling those Angries, grabbing a Hand of Midas, which allows me to grab an upgraded Lordy on 6.0 while playing Dwarves. And I did sell off the Doubly, unfortunately, in this one, but then we go back into Dwarves, and we're just way too aggressive. You can see this is our 6.0, but there's only 4 players left in the lobby, so we just want to play Dwarves and be as aggressive as possible and try to find the win, and we do. This was game number 5, and I did spoil it a little bit in the thumbnail, but that was kind of important to the story I was trying to tell with this video. This was my first win after my heart attack that I had a few months ago at this point, but because of that, it was just even a little bit more of a special game, and the Goldilocks just means that much more to me as a hero that in some way it kind of helped me get back into Storybook Brawl, back into gaming a little bit. I mean, I was playing Marvel Snap and stuff from the hospital bed, but Storybook Brawl takes a little bit more concentration and a little bit more thought, and there was a little bit of time where I just wasn't able to really play the game to my satisfaction. Had a little bit of brain fog and fatigue and all of that stuff. Goldilocks got me back into it. So we'll take a look at that game now. I think there were a lot of mistakes in this game. Yeah, we'll talk about some of those mistakes as well. I do have some notes here. Like I said, pretty good 3.0 shop though, I think. And my 4.0 shop, we have some interesting stuff going on because we can use the Hermes Magic Beans to activate Cinderella this turn. And I use that to pick up a Dragon's Nest. I'm always trying to make Dragon's Nest work on Goldilocks. Like I said, really only worked out in a major way for us one time, but I pick up a Dragon's Nest here, and then I do think I wind up finding some dragons even on this turn. I wasn't super impressed with this shop. Sometimes you're too strong, and then you can't pick up Gingerbread Knight, and I didn't really want to play Dwarves again. The one place that I do wind up making some mistakes in this game is with Fancy Pants, because there's some times where like I lock the shop and should just be locking something that I want to put that Fancy Pants buff on. So I think that that happens here. That's why only one of the Actually, both of those friendly spirits look like they have a fancy pants buff, so maybe I did figure out how to get that done. We do wind up finding some dragons, like I said, and then we're also going to pick up a Wish Upon a Star, and that gets me to 5.0 here a little bit early. So I don't really have the cash to pick up too much here, nor is this stuff like super powerful or super synergistic with what we've already got going on. Maybe I pick up the Cupids. I don't actually really remember. Maybe I just roll for some more dragons. Now, it looks like I did pick up the Cupids. And then here, we've got another pretty crazy turn with a lot of interesting stuff going on. The Feasting Dragons have been slaying, so that's nice. And then, like I said, what we should do is pick up Empress P and then Green Knight, and then lock onto the second Empress P, just a small thing, so that way both Empress Ps can get that fancy pants buff. But this sets me up pretty dang well with the bonuses from the Feasting Dragon and some rather large Empress Ps. So that is why I also like to pick Dragon's Nest up on Goldilocks. Feasting Dragon just plays really well because unlike Apocalypse, the big benefit of Goldilocks is that those characters go to your shop, which means that Hand of Midas and Feasting Dragon bonuses are actually synergistic with your hero. So that can work out very well, and it did for us in this game. This video was a double feature. Both Goldilocks games that I played were played pretty close to each other, and sometimes when I do that, I wind up trying out the same comp. Now, normally I would have only shown off the second game or only showed off one of these games. I think the second one's a little bit better and maybe would have talked about the other game a little bit, but I'm just trying to show you guys every Goldilocks game that I played and add to that win streak there. So we're going to look at both of those right now. The first one, the 3.0, kind of interesting. Oh yeah, I think both of these games were actually pretty fun too. It's just interesting how close or how similar they were. But this one has a pair of polywoggles that we bring to 3.0, and I imagine I'm probably taking the Wicked Witch here. We could do some interesting stuff where we sell off, like we could sell off our good characters, our Sherwood Sure Shot and our Humpty Dumpty, and then we can pick up all three evil characters. There's also a prize pig. So there's a lot going on in this shop. Looks like I did sell off my good characters, pick up the evil ones. You'll see again that we pick up the Dragon's Nest. Not quite going to work out for us. We actually take a little bit of damage. We also did slay with a polywoggle by the looks of it. We've got a Lady of the Lake in the back row. We do have some additional gold here. We've got the Golden Chicken. I haven't talked about that too much, but you can go back and look through these if you're interested and see how much bonus gold we have in each individual place. I'll be talking about that in like 2-3 videos from now. Bonus gold, you guys probably remember that one, but we have got the Kitty Cup Purse also giving us some bonus gold. I meant to say that if I did not already. And then we are at 20 health, so we can pick up a Gingerbread Knight here as well. And we can also double support a Nutcracker with double Lady of the Lake. So a lot of different options going on in this shop. We are going to complete the Lady of the Lake by 5.0, and then we can also pick up a Lancelot on this 5.0 turn, and we've tossed the Dragon's Nest. Kind of funny because we are slaying with Feasting Dragon, but we've tossed the Dragon's Nest in favor of Coin of Sharon and Sting, plus those Hermes magic sandals, so that way we can keep on slaying. But we'll throw Lancelot into that spot and start slaying with that, and that will give us an upgraded Lancelot, which I guess we took Helm of the Ugly Gosling. Oh yeah. So kind of like the saga of these polywoggles is really funny. We've got these two frontline polywoggles so that they get attacked into, and then we wind up just benching them, and then we wind up tripling them. And on 5.0, we're actually not going to put the Lancelot in that first slot. We're going to throw the Polywoggle in that first slot instead, and that is going to give us an upgraded Empress P, which is absolutely massive. Then we get some really nice supports to fill out the back line. And at this point in the game, I mean, there's not that much time left on the turn. So you can see there's only 5 players left in the lobby. I'm not super interested in the Hercules. You could pick up the Hercules here, but I decided to just roll for Jormungand, and I immediately find it. I roll once, and I find the Jormungand, and well, that's obviously just lucky. I mean, I did get unlucky to not find it here on the Goldilocks turn. The one thing that I do mention is, like, at the very least, the Goldilocks hero power gives you 2 gold, which is sometimes more than Phoenix Angel gives you. Phoenix Angel, if you don't like the character you get, it just gives you 1 gold because you sell it off, or I guess you could Shard of the Ice Queen it. But with 2 gold, that's 2 more rolls, and that first roll was even just enough to help us find the Jormungand. I don't think I included a picture of that here. No, I didn't. We're going to jump on to the next game. Very similar, winds up also being Empress P related, I believe. Not too much to say about this shop. Probably pick up the Princess White and the Mummy, though I could also sell off the Golden Chicken and pick up one of the other characters if I wanted to, and looks like I did decide to pick up the Romeo. I've never actually made it work specifically, but one of these days I'm going to pick up a Romeo, and here I even picked up 2 Romeos. I was obviously really hoping for Juliet on 4.0. Now, I'm not going to wind up finding it, but we will get the dragons this time, despite not having the Dragon's Nest. Of course, the one game I don't have Dragon's Nest, we get Double Dragon plus River Wish Mermaid, but that puts us off to a really, really strong start. And we even get to give those Feasting Dragons +1/+1 to start with the Candy Rain, and then +1/+1 every time they slay with the River Wish Mermaid. So that's enough to let us go pretty crazy here. We get some nice buffs on the shop. Our shop has +7/+7 right now, as we add a Baba Yaga and an Evil Eye to that Feasting Dragon. That's what's glowing there, by the way, that Feasting Dragon, I believe. And the Shoulder Fairies are not super strong here because they actually have +7/+7. They'll get +21/+21 when we upgrade them. But in terms of actually synergizing with Shoulder Fairies, it's an 8/9. Not super impressive. We've got a Mummy with 8 and a River Wish Mermaid for 9, but it does allow us to grab a tier 5 treasure. And there's some really, really good tier 5 treasures, as you know, especially when you are trying to slay. We're going to grab the Horn of Olympus for that. And then I'm actually a little bit low on my health total. Despite having some really large Shoulder Fairies, I cast the End here just for health, just to put me back up to 10 health. I the End did something. What was I at before? 12. So took some damage. The End back up to 10 to hopefully keep us alive, and you'll see that gives us 2 gold here. We're at 2 gold out of 12. Totally forgot about it. That actually happens one more time to me in a different game, but it's totally worth it. I don't even need those extra 2 gold, but realistically what you should do here is just roll once and then lock onto your shop the next turn, assuming that there's something that you see that you like there, but we're just using it as a health potion, in this case a really expensive health potion. And then here is our 6.0 turn. Our Feasting Dragons have gone crazy this game, enough that we get to grab a 21/21 Good Boy and a 24/24 Empress P. So really insane stuff here. Pick up both of those and the Boomhilda. Potentially try to pick up the Gumble or the Echo Wood as well. Almost said Gumblegore. No, I think we do pick up the Boomhilda here, but either way, this is a really good start, and we don't really wind up needing the extra health. Just all of these massive stats on these Last Breath characters was enough to get the win. This game I played on my phone. We're gonna keep the streak going on my phone right now. Was just felt like playing some Storybook Brawl, and Goldilocks came up, so I hit the record button on my phone, and we'll see how this one went. It actually went pretty well for being on my phone. On 3.0, we have a really interesting decision to make. We can use this True Love's Kiss on my upgraded goat and grab an upgraded level 3 character, or we could just buy something from the shop and immediately True Love's Kiss that. And I think that that's probably the route to go, to try to grab an upgraded or to try to grab an over-leveled character rather than try to grab an upgraded on-level character that is going to be a little bit more random. But I do wind up True Love's Kissing the goat. Maybe this is just, you know, biased thinking because it didn't work out. It gives us a Tripoli, which isn't super impressive, doesn't really do much to keep our prized pig alive in most instances, but does on the turn going into 4.0, and actually keeps our health total high enough after we support it with the baby root. So it worked out well enough. And speaking of over leveled cards, that was kind of the theme of this one, because this is actually the first time we find a Masquerade Ball on the Goldilocks turn. And I'm even going to try to do it again. We cast the Masquerade Ball, that's going to flip over Cindy. Why am I pressing space? And we take a big book of spells from that. So I'm going to try to find more True Love's Kisses and Masquerade Balls on other level up turns. But for this turn, we get to pick up a Nyan Sea Terror triple or pair on 4.0, which is pretty insane. That will give us a tier 5 treasure, at which point I'm tossing the secret stash. I've been holding on to that the whole time, thinking I would lose one of these combats eventually, but we just wind up staying incredibly strong throughout. So pick up the Nyan Sea Terror, and then we'll look at the actual 5.0 turn. That one's got another Nyan Sea Terror in it. No Robin Woods, though. That would have been a nice pickup. I probably just pick up some scam stuff here with the Rotten Applewood and the Cupid, and then maybe I feed the Tripoli to the Kraken so that I can also pick up another Nyan Sea Terror. Don't specifically remember this turn, but yeah, that looks like that's what I did. No scam here, was definitely hoping to pick up Pumpkin, though I think I'll go into trees from here. And I don't think I pick up the Green Knight, but I do think I pick up Echowood and Burning Beard, and then just play some trees from there. Big Book of Spells still works well when you're just playing trees. You can use that to cast Beauty's Influence. We also have another Echowood that I guess we got from a True Love's Kiss, or you know what, probably a For Glory going into 6.0. Though it has +1/+1 on it, which indicates that we got it from the shop. Not sure how we got that Echowood. I don't think I have that written down in my notes here. No, I just have phone, exclamation point. Good reminder, this game was played on my phone. So pretty impressive nonetheless. But speaking of impressive, we've got game number 9, my 1K sub special. Pretty sweet one, was sitting on this game for a while, and honestly, I think that I potentially hyped it up a little bit too much even. You guys can let me know. I didn't really hear any comments like that. It's kind of just me getting in my own head, to be totally honest, but that's how I felt when I played the game. I felt that as I was playing this game, it was really worthy of being a 1,000 subscriber special. Maybe it would have been a little bit more fun with live commentary, because I didn't know how it was gonna go as I was playing it, and you guys have like the hindsight of knowing it's going to be a good game, at least somewhat. I do try to subvert expectations a little bit by mixing it up on the channel occasionally, but for the most part, you guys are getting the best games, the sweetest games, and for that it might have felt a little bit weird, but I still thought it was sweet. You can let me know how you felt below. And yeah, one of the crazy things about this game, this isn't even the craziest part of the game, which is what makes it crazy, but twice we just get natural treasures from our level up shop. So on 3.0, we get to grab the triple of Princess Peep, and then 4.0, we pick up we've got the Eye of Ares, and we're doing stuff with that. And then 5.0, we've already grabbed the piggy bank at this point. We're bringing 22 gold into 5.0, and that would have been enough to just pick up the whole shop if we wanted to, but I don't even think we need to do that. I think we can hang on to some additional gold beyond that, but we do get to grab a free tier 5 treasure by picking up 3 Robin Hood. So absolutely crazy stuff. The tier 5 treasure winds up being Monkey's Paw, which is again just crazy with what we already got going on. And we go into 6.0 with 53 gold. Absolutely insane. We also find a bear stain there to go along with all of the other summon stuff. We have an upgraded Echowood already. So yeah, just an absolutely crazy game. Some people did say it was fun that I played Summons, which was a comp that I might not otherwise normally play, and it was fun to take a look at that here, which, yeah, you'd think like in my 1,000 subscriber special, I'm gonna play something I'm a little bit more familiar with, so that way I can go a little bit crazy, because the end of the game like from here on out, it wasn't super crazy. I think I probably picked up the bear stain and then slowly transitioned into trees. We can see half the lobby is left only, but they all still have a decent amount of health. So it did take a little bit, and we wound up having to upgrade our comp. Summons would not have done it. So we did wind up having to go into trees or something. I believe I did, because we had the Echo Wood. Maybe a lot of times what I'll do is I'll stop down in Good Boy Hercules territory, and I think that's what we did in this one. We did a Good Boy, and then we completed treasures for Hercules and Lancelot before eventually just moving back into trees again and like sharding some of our existing units and stuff. But I still thought this one was really sweet. 53 gold on that 6.0 turn from just a piggy bank. Yeah, can't really beat that. And this one was a little bit silly. I was kind of trying to keep teasing that this might be the end of the streak. So that's what I was trying to do with some of these titles and thumbnails. This one was called The Wheels Fall Off or something, When the Wheels Fall Off, or maybe even Till the Wheels Fall Off. And basically, this game just felt like, it felt like I was barely hanging on at some points. It felt like what I was doing was so shoddy and so random, but still, it somehow all came together, and we kept riding and kept rolling with Goldilocks here. On 3.0, we get to pick up a Brave Princess, and before 4.0, we don't activate the Brave Princess, but we do pick up a second Brave Princess. We kidnapped one from one of our opponents that only had one activation left to go. And then we wind up doing some stuff with Bounty Board this game, giving us some additional gold, and that's sweet. And we actually bought some XP with the Bounty Board as well. So I'm not sure if that was right here or if that's before 5.0, but either way, definitely want to pick up Lightning Dragon, try to make something work with River Wish Mermaid. And then on 5.0, I wind up slaying with my first Brave Princess and activating that right here. I picked up Cloak of the Assassin just then, and that could potentially add some additional attacks to Lancelot. You can see we've got double Lightning Dragon, though we don't quite yet have the River Wish Mermaid. Still looking for that. Still going to keep trying to complete the Brave Princess. And part of this, I think, was just to be a little bit silly. It was off the back of that incredible 1,000 subscribers game. So at this point, I was like, I don't really care what happens on the hero. I've done some incredible things and I'm ready for the streak to end. And I was playing a little bit silly because of that, and still wound up finding a pretty good win here. We find a bunch of treasures, and I have to talk about this, I guess, first too. I could talk about it on this screen. That's fine. We complete the second Brave Princess. That gets me treasure map, and I messed it up. I just messed up. One of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. That's not true. But I triple the Lightning Dragon before I activate the Lancelot. That gives me a tier 6 treasure instead, so I grab an Embiggening Stone, which, like I said, does work with Goldilocks, so that's cool. And then I activate the Lancelot. That gives me Horn, which is still a pretty powerful treasure, just didn't work out exactly the way that I wanted it to. But this 6.0 shop is really, really strong, and we stole a pair of Luckies with this Southern Siren, a pair of upgraded Luckies even, so a few things in the shop are even a little bit cheaper as well. I pick up both Empress Peas and both trees and tried kind of a peas and trees medley here. It's a nice little vegetable medley, and is very, very powerful. We've got Green Knight, which is a good piece for both of those strategies, and even the Sporkos pump up the Burning Beard a little bit. So winds up being a very, very powerful comp, despite still being a little bit silly, even in the end game. Trees and Peas, not something I've ever played otherwise, maybe 1-2 other times, and we got there in a very chaotic game where I made a bunch of mistakes, did a bunch of silly things, and still it all worked out, just because Goldilocks is that powerful. This was the very last game that I played on the previous patch, and I think I called it the end of an era, and I was again trying to tease that we might lose with Goldilocks and end the streak. And obviously we didn't lose. Oh, that's right. This one was also all about locking. And I did some fancy and interesting stuff where I locked the shop in interesting ways in this game, because I haven't really experimented that much with Goldilocks. You guys have seen the entirety, every single thing that I've ever done with the hero, but in this one we do some really interesting stuff with locking, I believe. Yeah, I'm just refreshing my mind. Yeah. And I was thinking maybe I could have called this one Goldilocks, and that could have been a cute title as well, just for how many times we wind up locking. You can see on 3.0 we've got a Wish Upon a Star, and we can't really just cast that yet. I mean, we could and just be a little bit weaker, but I think it's generally stronger, especially with Wish Upon a Star. If this was just a Turkish Delight, I probably just cast it and then pick up one other character. Next turn, I pick up 2 level 3 characters. It's pretty good as far as the economy of all of that goes. You could potentially just lock onto the Wish Upon a Star 2 and sell the Golden Chicken to buy 3 level 3 characters, so there's still some ways to potentially play it, but what I wind up doing is I wind up locking the Wish Upon a Star, I guess just for a turn, and then I cast it. Okay, I'm misremembering a little bit. You can see that I don't have that many characters, though, on the board on my 4.0 turn. So I probably just didn't win the Wish Upon a Star. I probably tied in that combat, and I don't have that down in my notes here. So I don't remember, but you can go back and watch the video if you're curious. These are all still available on the channel, and yeah, apologies, but kind of forgetting where we're at. Here's the 4.0 turn. Pretty nice stuff. I can only pick up 2 of these characters. Probably pick up Greedy and the Monster Book just to try to add the strongest amount of power to the board. And then here is 5.0. So why is this one all about locking? Am I on the wrong video? No, I think that this is right. Maybe the next one's all about locking. Okay, I think I just wrote that in the wrong place. So what is this one about? Sorry, we're doing it live here. Maybe this was, I don't know, nothing more than teasing. Maybe I do lock here. Oh, okay. Yeah, there was some locking going on in this video, but who knows? Who cares? We're not going to deal with it. Yeah, I just pick up some other characters to try to be strong as possible. Looks like I've got the Greedy, the River Wish Mermaid, and the Monster Book by the time I hit 5.0, kind of going into like a half Dwarves, half Sleigh comp, and then we get to pick up a pair of Wombats if I'm interested in that, and it's a pretty nice amount of stats. But what I do here is we're going to level up. Wait, how do I get so many treasures in such a short amount of time? That's pretty incredible. And then we're going to lock onto this shop going into 6.0. And this is the first time I ever locked a shop, I believe, on the level up turn as Goldilocks. I mean, we just went through all of my Goldilocks games here, and yeah, this was definitely an interesting one because I locked on because we've got Lancelot plus a, what is that spell called? Plus 10 attack, doesn't matter, and Forking Rod. So we can immediately activate Lancelot here, and I felt like that was worth experimenting with a little bit. I wind up clearing out most of the shop because I didn't know how this was going to work. Is the shop going to populate then with just randomness, or is it going to populate with level 6 characters? Now, turns out it just populates randomly, and then you just have to roll, and your next shop will be all level 6s. So we wind up picking up the Lancelot, picking up the spell, whose name I still cannot remember, and then we roll into this one with 1 more gold. So pretty nice stuff from here as well. We've got a Jormungand with all of our Slay action and Evil Eye, and Lancelot can potentially find Horn. And then we also have double Empress P and a Boomhilda. So some really strong stuff there. You can see how we can take it from there, and I think the Lancelot probably found Horn of Olympus, or if not, I'm sure it found some other great tier 5 treasure, and I tossed that Forking Rod. Pretty good stuff. This one, also had some interesting locking stuff in it, and we can talk about that as well. This was my very first game with the new UI, so also fun one. Goldilocks has definitely had some interesting highlight points throughout this streak, right? Like one of my first games on the patch where Goldilocks came out. Obviously that makes sense, but then to be like my first game back after the heart attack, my last game on the patch, my first game on the patch, and all the while just having some fun with it, doing some crazy stuff. This one was cool because really I got to do almost everything that I wanted to do on the new patch, on the new UI, in this very first game, thanks to Goldilocks. Made some really crazy stuff possible. And here is where some really interesting decisions come up again with a True Love's Kiss on that 3.0 turn. We heard me talk about that earlier as well. But it's the question of, like, do you want to try to spend your whole turn just True Love's Kissing a tier 3 character to grab a tier 4 character? Is that worth it for you? That kind of doesn't make use of the rest of the hero power, but can still be very strong and set you up for some strong stuff. Now, I believe what I wind up doing here is picking up basically everything but the Romeo, and then I lock onto Romeo plus True Love's Kiss to potentially do it down the line, and then I might even pick up the Romeos here. I don't quite remember, but what I do remember is here's where we're at on 4.0. We just talked about what happens when you lock onto like half of a shop on the level up turn as a Goldilocks. So started locking onto this Wish Upon a Star. That's why I was getting confused in the last game, because this one I really lock onto a Wish Upon a Star for a long time. And there's actually a chance here that we could have just skipped level 4 entirely. Now, I did ask one of the devs, you can't actually skip your Goldilocks activation, so you'll always get it. AKA, if we were to win this fight with the Wish Upon a Star and then become level 5, we would have a turn of one shop of all level 4 characters, and then one shop of all level 6 characters. That could be something fun to do in like a practice mode. You just play Goldilocks and you lock your shop every single time, buying absolutely nothing, and then once you hit level 6, you just roll 3 times and or 4 times, and you'll see a whole shop of tier 3s, a whole shop of tier 4s, a whole shop of tier 5s, and then a whole shop of tier 6s. But what's really cool about it in this specific instance is I picked up Treasure Map off of the Prized Pig. So the plan was to try to intentionally skip tier 4. I do wind up getting some of those tier 4 characters the next turn because I do lose my Wish Upon a Star combat, but then on 5.0 I get to pick up Nyan Sea Terrors, and I was planning on just picking up any pair that we could find in the shop. Wind up finding a pair that gives me a treasure, and that gives me a tier 7 treasure, which gives me a world tree. And this is just like an insane feeling. Going into 6.0 as Goldilocks with a world tree, knowing that almost every character that's going to be in that shop is going to improve your board. And this one doesn't get to go super crazy, but we still get to pick up a Lordy and an Oni Tyrant and potentially a Great Pumpkin here as well. And all of those things are just super powerful. And then meanwhile, we're also doing some fun stuff with Chupacabra and Puffy, or Puff Puff rather. So really, really sweet game. We get to activate Lancelot this turn as well, thanks to Lordy. So yeah, just absolutely an incredible one. And then that brings us here. We've got a 12 win streak. This is this video. Not sure if I really have to recap this video in this video, but we'll look it over as well here. A really mediocre 3.0, no dragons on 4.0. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I just got unlucky, but I will say I've definitely gotten very lucky on this hero in the past. Maybe we'll word it that way. And nothing really super special. I kind of delay my 5.0 pickup so that way I could pick up some more things maybe that wasn't the best idea. And then here are some of our 5.0 options. And then here is our shop on 6.0, moments before the disaster when Merlin takes us out. But there you go. That is the streak as we run back through it here. Really fun stuff, and hope you guys enjoyed this kind of walk through memory lane a little bit as we take a look back at the beginnings when we were first taking a look at Goldilocks. And if you enjoyed this kind of like retrospective content, I am going to try to do something towards the new year. I don't know how soon I'll get it out because it's a decent amount of work to like just compile and order everything that I want to talk about and get some notes down and stuff. But I do kind of want to go over the whole year in some capacity. Maybe that's too big of an idea. Maybe I should be doing like monthly recaps and just talking about like all 30 games and which games were the best for the month. But I would just like to go over this year. Oh, that was the other milestone that Goldilocks got us. It was my 1,000 subscriber special. I knew there was something else big. But yeah, pretty big year. Had a heart attack, got 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and played a bunch of sweet Storybook Brawl. But for today, that is going to be it for me. So thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Luck's Given. Peace.